Hello, Catherine Foley is my name, and I'm going to read from my book Beyond the Breakwater. And in light of the fact that it's Good Friday, Ina and Gesta, I've chosen two pieces that I hope you'll like. I know I'm not following the chronological order of the chapters, but I'll get back on track soon. So, chapter 41, Praying in Prague. When I saw the little gold statue locked behind glass, a trapdoor suddenly released, I fell down the years to my gran and passage east, with her rosary beads and her devotion to the Child of Prague. Right beside the statue, I saw a framed picture of the little flower, and with that another bolt came undone, and I tumbled through the tunnel of time to my Auntie Gilla and her statues and her prayers to Saint Therese of Lisieux, the little flower, and the Child of Prague. Like a current, the two women and their litanies ran through me. Their big eyes, full of beseeching and pleading, took me back to then when I was a child and a statue was a focus in our lives. When it stood in a place of pride in passage on a sideboard by the stairs, and I saw my gran's lips move as she got down on her knees, and in Helvig years later on my aunt's bedroom window, on a doily in the sun, I recalled the saint framed by blue water all the way out to sea, with her eyes lingering there on her little doll-size face. The statue was a presence then to my child's eyes, benign and calm. It was the pulse in a corner that directed heat into our hands. That day in Prague, a volt from the two, their eyes large with longing, shot back up through me when I knelt on the kneeler in the little chapel in front of the golden statue of the Child of Prague and the picture of the little flower. I cried for the time that was gone, when prayers were directed through a blessed prism heavenwards, when back then it was to them so clearly an important ritual. Their joint invocation blew like a whistled breath. As I remembered them long ago, I felt their lives rush through me, whispering when I bowed my head to pray. And then, now I'm going to read one more short one. Chapter 72, Graveyard. The grave is a riot of blooms, swathes of salvia, lavender, geraniums, fuchsia, hollyhocks and campanula wave endearingly in the sun when I walk up to the headstone with the cousin from Dublin. I have to keep myself in check from opening my mobile phone and taking a picture to tweet. We stop to reminisce and admire the flowers that cover the plot. I take joy in the lovely shrubs that we have growing there, not to mention the little bird bath and the terracotta box of African daisies and roses of Sharon. I could so easily send a message of this out into cyberspace, such as my ease and familiarity with the place where my mother and father are now buried. My heart fills with warmth at the sight, but I stop even as the delphiniums and daisies wink at me. Maybe I'm too free and comfortable with these graves. Maybe I shouldn't be feeling this coziness in the cemetery, I think, as we walk on through the sunlit graveyard to visit another family plot. I point to the headstones of those neighbours that my cousin may remember, and she is charmed by my intimate knowledge and lonely for her own family members who are buried in a sprawling cemetery in the city. She finds it all a far cry from her own urban existence where, she says, tragedy is usually born anonymously and there is no comparable outpouring of communal grief after death strikes. At the removal of a soul from a country parish, it seems everyone is pained and moved to sympathise, each person lining up to shake the hands of grieving family members. As the sun throws dappled light across the grass, I lead my cousin along the path up through the graves, and I wonder if I am seeing this place through rose-tinted glasses. And yet Our lives here revolve to a greater or lesser extent around this place of tranquility, and we are drawn back here again and again, reminded of how life ends and how we are left with an existential silence. Here lie individuals who leave loneliness and a lifetime of memories in their wake. Here lies a neighbour who came home from Hollywood with his family every summer to while away his time down on the pier, fishing and boating. Here lies a devoted family man who was passionate about his greyhounds and the Friday night race meets in Youghal. The graveyard is rich with the detail and intricacies of stories that have woven their way into my life. I remember them all as we walk along the path, an old tree casting welcome shade over us. We turn a corner and walk up towards the leafy resting place of the skipper who went down with his crew in a tragic maritime accident not so long ago. Here is the elegantly maintained grave of the beautiful young girl who died in a freak accident on her way home in her car one night. The place is quiet. It feels peaceful and comforting to walk among the stones, even as the men dig a grave for the young man who has just been killed, cut down in a road accident in the prime of his life. On the morning of his funeral, cars will stretch along both sides of the road for half a mile and more. Was it mad to lie on my mother's grave when she was interred here first, 3 years before my father died, to see what she could see? Is it morbid or strange to feel such a connection with this place, where pain is public, where sorrow is a low cuina, where there are no answers, yet sculpted stones record the dates and details of lives once lived? And as we walk, I read the names and I remember who they were and where they lived, and the knowledge of their lives buoys me up. My cousin and I walk down to the gate. We sit in my car and drive home. I salute a neighbour who passes in his jeep. I watch a lorry ahead slow down to make the turn at the corner of Bohernasup and Cnochanna. I brake too to make the hill as we carry on home. That's all for today. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow at 5. Bye now.